What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another Detroit Lions talk on this fantastic Sunday. We're back again with another live stream here to talk about the Detroit Lions, whether that be drafting, free agency, releases, transition tags, franchise tags, Kenny Galladay, or any other Detroit Lions player's future. We're here to talk about all of it. And as we do every single Sunday, I want to start off with something. Obviously, as people start to roll in, I like to have a topic ready to kind of open the stream with. And today, I've come across a quick little rumor about the Detroit Lions and one of their bigger players in general being defensive tackle Danny Shelton. Now, as you can see on the screen, it says that the Detroit Lions are likely to cut before the league year cornerback Desmond Trufant, Danny Shelton, and Jamie Collins, resulting in $12 million of cap space. Now, I don't think we're going to cut Jamie Collins. I don't think you restructure his contract just to release him. However, Desmond Trufant obviously came true already. We've already known, and we've known for a couple days now that the Lions are looking to release him. And as soon as the new league year begins, they will be releasing Desmond Trufant. And then you have Danny Shelton. Now, this is a thing that I've seen thrown around a lot by Detroit Lions fans. This is a thing that I've seen, thrown around by a lot of people that we should release Danny Shelton. And I don't really get the whole point of cutting Danny Shelton. Like, Danny Shelton, I get that he's a Patriots player, and I get that people don't like the Patriot way, the Patriot players that we've brought in, but Danny Shelton was really the best one of the bunch. Like, he was by far our best run stopper last year. He didn't play in every game, but when he did play, the Lions defense looked better with him on the field. He's not even on an expensive contract. And I don't get the whole getting rid of Danny Shelton. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And if you're in the chat right now and you want to cut Danny Shelton, if you want to get rid of him and you have a reason, please let me know. But I don't get the whole releasing of Danny Shelton. I don't get the whole, we should get rid of all these Patriot players just because they're Patriot players. Like Desmond Trufant, I got it because he did not play well last year. Even Jamie Collins, if we release him, I would very much understand because I did not like Jamie Collins a lot last year. He played very, very poorly, but Danny Shelton did not. Danny Shelton played very, very solidly. I don't get this whole movement of let's get rid of Danny Shelton just to get rid of him. I have some of these stats ready and prepared. You look at his stats from a season ago, let's see, if we go down to the 2020 season, he had 37 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, 4 quarterback hits, a pass defended. They're not mind-boggling stats, but he played relatively well for a majority of the games he was in there. And obviously, defensive tackle, especially a run-stuffing defensive tackle, doesn't get a lot of love, doesn't get a lot of statistics, and is not going to blow your mind on the stat sheet. But he did not play very bad last year. He was probably one of our better defensive players, and everybody's looking to get rid of him. And it's not even like he's that big of a cap hit. I mean, he's really not he's not that big of a cap hit. I believe he's only costing the Lions $5 million, which for a starting defensive tackle playing at a relatively high level isn't that expensive for a team. Now, Steve-O says, I would probably cut Shelton because Penasini can do what he does, and we could use the $4 million. I get that, but at the same time, especially if we run a 4-3, who's going to be your other interior defensive lineman? Because if you run a 4-3 with 2 edge rushers and 2 interior defensive linemen, you're going to roll out with Penasini and who? And if you're going to cut somebody, cut Nick Williams at your nose tackle. He played less than Danny Shelton, played worse than Danny Shelton, and is now earning more money than Danny Shelton. Why would we cut Danny Shelton when Nick Williams is still on the team? And I have the salary cap pulled up right here, and I will zoom in so it's easier to see. But you look at these numbers. Obviously, Jared Goff's a big contract, but look, Desmond Trufant was going to cost us $12 million on the cap. You look at Jamie Collins, 11.3. You go down. Nick Williams is costing us 5.6. Danny Shelton is costing us 5.2. So it's about the same. Danny Shelton's making a little bit more money for significantly worse play. Not to mention, you would actually earn more money back by cutting Nick Williams than you even would by cutting Danny Shelton. If you cut Nick Williams, you get 4.6 back. If you cut Danny Shelton, that's just $4 million back. with a bigger cap hit. So like, why would we cut Danny Shelton when Nick Williams is on the team? That's what I don't get, I guess. Steve says I would cut Nick Williams too. That's fair. I would not mind cutting Nick Williams. I actually think we very much should. Even one Funky Lions fan says, even though he was the best on the Lions, we're horrible. So I guess, but like, who's going to replace him? Like, who's going to come in and be better than Danny Shelton? Because honestly, there's not a lot there. Like, there's nobody to replace him. So why would we get rid of one of our best defensive players if we have nothing there to replace him with? I think Williams and Shelton are going to get cut. I think Williams should definitely get cut, but I mean, I just don't get the whole cut Danny Shelton. Like, he's cheap and played very well last season. Like, I don't get the whole reason to cut him, but Lions may draft D-line help. I hope so. I hope they draft some defensive line help, but I mean, I just don't see it. But hey, cut them both. Moving on. Coleman should get cut too. I think Justin Coleman will get released. I think Justin Coleman, he's the 5th biggest contract on the team for a nickel cornerback that didn't play particularly well last year. Like, I mean, I don't know, man. I even like Justin Coleman as a player. I just can't see how you can pay him that much money without elite production. Like, how are you going to have the highest paid slot cornerback in the NFL to not get an interception on the season like that? I think Justin Coleman should get cut. They cut him too. Yeah. John Pennicini. No, I know John Pennicini is going to help replace Danny Shelton if he does get cut, but like, John Pennicini, like, he was good. He played very well last year, but it's not even like Danny Shelton's that expensive. Like, I just don't get it. And Luke G. Field Review is in the building. What's going on, Luke? He says John and some free agents will replace Danny. But like, what free agents are you going to bring in with $4 million that are going to produce as well as Danny Shelton? Like, there's truly not that. I mean, in my opinion, at least, there's not that many good interior defensive linemen out there. There's not that many good run stopping players out there that are going to produce as well as Danny Shelton will. But that's just, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that's just my opinion. Like, I don't see anybody else out there that's going to produce like Danny Shelton. UDFAs will fill out the roster. Yeah, but you know, that's, again, those are UDFAs opposed to a former first round pick. Like, I mean, he's got some talent still. Shelton got pushed around a lot last season. I don't think Shelton was so dominant run stopper last season. I don't think he was dominant, but he was better than a lot of the other guys that were out there. Let's see. Coleman will be a June 1st cut. We will get more money. Yep. So this is the pre-June 1st one. If we go cut post-June, then you go down to Justin Coleman. We'll save $9 million on the June 1st. Or post June 1st cut. So that's probably what's going to happen. James Willis says, I don't know what Deshaun Hand's status is. He's healthy as of right now, but he has not been able to stay healthy for a lot of his career. I mean, when he's on the field, I actually think Deshaun Hand plays incredibly well, but he's not on the field enough. He's just not there. That's the same with Austin Bryant and Julian Okwara. They're just not there enough to really say, you know, they're not there enough to say like, oh, we can replace some certain people. You know, he's not there. Deshaun Hand and Julian Okwara and Austin Bryant aren't on the field enough for me to have confidence that we can put them in and rely on them heavily for a starting role. Luke, are we going to look at nickel cornerbacks? I hope so. I hope we can get a better, younger, and obviously a lot cheaper. Jarrell Casey. I do like Jarrell Casey. I forgot he was released. But I think he's going to be even more expensive than Danny Shelton's going to be. Hanks and Aubrey, same thing. I think they're going to I think they're fine, but I just think that you're not going to get, I mean, you're going to spend more money for probably better production, but still. Luke G, can we really use that money after June 1st? There's a reason why there's March and June cuts. That's true. But, I mean, there's always, you look at trades, too. Like, if you want to trade halfway through the season, that post-June cut, you're still going to be able to use that money. Or, free agents are still going to be available midway, into June. There's always, every single year, there are players that aren't signed into training camp and somehow make a roster. Like, Jadeveon Clowney waited forever to get signed. I don't remember if he was signed before or after June 1st, but I know he waited forever to sign last season. I think there will still be some money there post June 1st, or I think there will still be some talent there to sign. A lot depends on what defense base that they will be using. It feels like the Lions will go back to 4-3 base. I hope so. I think they're more equipped, and I think they're better equipped for a 4-3 defense. What about Smoot has retired with Wash? I don't know. Yes, and we add all we need, and we cut the fat. Geez, I can't read. Steve-O, so we can have so many players, and once they start cutting, it sets the team up to use the money. Fair enough. Yeah, that's true. Get someone the exact opposite of Pennicini. You need a pass rushing defensive tackle. That's what Danny Shelton is when he's healthy, or not Danny Shelton. That's what Deshaun Hand is when he's healthy, but he's just, as I said, not ever healthy enough. What's the percentage of the Lions trading back, meaning likelihood? I mean, I think if they can trade back, they should. I'm not in the building, so I don't know what Brad Holmes is thinking. I don't know what Dan Campbell is thinking as far as trading back. If I were the general manager, I would do everything I could to trade back. Although I don't think the talent's going to be there for the Lions in the top 10, I think there's still some good players there in the top 10 that could warrant a lot of value. So, likelihood, I don't know. I'd probably say it's a 50-50. Like, if there's a team interested in trading up, I think they trade back. But again, there has to be two teams to trade. And, I think that one of the problems last year was, the Lions didn't trade down, but they didn't have anybody to trade down with because nobody wanted the third overall pick. What up, Doe? Love me some Lions talk all day. That's what I'm here for. Every Sunday at 1 p.m., we're back talking Lions football. You could trade Flowers post June 1st. You could trade Flowers post June 1st. That could be something that happens. Could be. The players getting signed post June 1st are usually bottom of the barrel. Yeah, but every once in a while, or if you want to trade and use that cap space, or there's a couple different ways you can go with it. And I mean, even then, like, you're still saving that cap space in case of injury or in case of something else. So, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to cutting players June 1st because, you're still getting that salary cap back. You're getting more salary cap back. So if we're going to cut the players anyway, I'd rather get more money back for it versus, obviously getting less money. That wouldn't make much sense. I would say trade down is very likely considering the history of the people now in the front office. Brad, as well as some of the others, have been successful in the later rounds. Yeah, I think that's very true. But like I said, there's got to be somebody else there to trade down with. You know what I mean? Like, you can't trade down with you can't trade back with Washington if Washington doesn't want to trade up. You know what I mean? Like, it's a two-way road. Like, if you could want to trade down, but if nobody wants to trade up, then you're in a tough situation. So that's why I said it's probably a 50-50. Like, if they get people that want to trade up, I think it's very possible. But, if nobody wants to trade up, then it's going to be very tough for them to move down in the draft. So that's why I said it's probably closer like a 50-50. If there's somebody there, it's going to happen. If somebody doesn't want to trade up, it's obviously not going to happen. Shoot, Akiem Hicks might be cut. Chicago would recover $10 million. Bring him for a year, a revenge tour. That would be crazy. I would love Akiem Hicks. He's a very, very good player. Obviously a longtime Bear, longtime rival of the Lions. But I mean, if you got a Mike Daniels situation, gets cut from the Packers, wants to come to the Detroit Lions and get revenge on his team, like, I could very easily see that happens every single year. I'm good on Hand. Heard he a free agent next year. He is a free agent next year. He is a free agent. And again, like, if he can stay healthy, he's a very good player, but he just cannot stay healthy. I would love if they signed Akiem Hicks. I would too. I think Akiem Hicks would be really, really good, but I don't think he's going to come to Detroit. I think the only reason and the only way you convince him to come here is that revenge, get revenge on your former team, get back at your former team, have a chance to beat them twice. But at the same time, if I'm Akiem Hicks, I haven't really had a chance at a Super Bowl ring. He's an older player. So I think just like JJ Watt, you're going to see him probably go to a contender. You're going to see him probably go somewhere where he's going to have a chance to win a Super Bowl, which, I mean, I think Detroit's going to be competitive, but I mean, I don't think they're going to be Super Bowl competitors for at least a couple more years. In your eyes, what's the best thing to do with Big V? Honestly, there's nothing to do with Big V other than just find the best role for him on the team. Trading him and cutting him is unrealistic. I mean, with that contract, with the dead cap, you can't cut him. You can't trade him because you pay so much dead cap for a guy that's not even here. It wouldn't make financial sense for the Detroit Lions. So I think the best thing to do with Big V is, I guess, let him sit on the bench or compete for that starting spot. But I mean, you can't trade him. You can't get rid of him. And to be honest, I don't even know if he's good enough to start next year. I thought Tyrell Crosby far outperformed Big V when they were playing. So, I mean, Big V was a horrible contract when it happened. Big V was a horrible decision when it was made. And now the Lions, Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions are reaping the consequences of Bob Quinn. Let's see. Linebacker coach has ties to him, but I prefer building the team through the draft, trade, get Coram. I would assume that means Coramosa. Jeremiah Owosu Koromoa. JOK. I know I'm a broken record when it comes to this. Hey, I like Jeremiah. I like Jeremiah Owosu Koromoa. Dude's a very, very good player. I mean, I think he would change the Lions defense if he was here. And I mean, I think taking him at 7 is a little bit of a reach down the board. I don't think he's quite a top 7 talent, but I'll tell you, if we get Jeremiah Owosu Koromoa, this passing defense, this linebacking core is going to get much better overnight. So, I mean, I like him a lot. I like Jeremiah a lot. Hicks will want a shot at a chip. He wouldn't come to Detroit. That's what I was saying earlier. I think he's going to be chasing a ring, and obviously Detroit, as of right now, is not in a position to really chase a ring. Take him out back and put him out of his misery. You probably right, Luke, but you never know. That's true. You never know. Just like Mike Daniels, right? I mean, Mike Daniels wanted revenge on his team, wanted to get back at the Packers for releasing him. Obviously, that didn't work out incredibly well for the Detroit Lions. However, it happens. Every single year you see teams and you see players that want to get back at their former teams. Des Bryant wanted to go to a division rival when he got cut to play the Cowboys. Obviously the Mike Daniels situation. Every single year you see players that want to get revenge tour on their former team. So I think it's unlikely, but I don't think it's 100% out of the question. I'd probably like a 90% not going to happen. But again, you never know. You never know what's going to happen. This is the NFL. Crazy things happen every single day. Trades happen every single day. I mean, who would have thought that DeAndre Hopkins would have got traded for a second-round pick? Who would have thought that, who else? I mean, there's always big cuts, always crazy trades. Like, anything can happen in the NFL. So, you never know. You never know. I'm waiting on more cuts. I am too. I think, realistically, you could see, obviously, Desmond Trufant just got cut. You could see Justin Coleman get cut after June 1st. Jesse James is even realistic. Nick Williams is realistic. Chase Daniels is realistic. Christian Jones, Joe Dahl. You go down the list even more. Jelani Savai, a lot of people are calling for his head. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I know there's a lot of people that are. There's quite a few guys that could get cut this season for the Detroit Lions that, even had big roles as early as last year, but just, with the new regime, new evaluation, new coaching staff, they could want to move on from. We keep JD. You need someone the exact opposite of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Jamin Davis, Cox would fit that bill. Very true. Obviously, Jared Davis, not a coverage linebacker. He's a blitzer. He is a guy that goes after the quarterback. He's a guy that should be see-ball, chase-ball linebacker. So getting a coverage guy like Jeremiah or Jamin Davis or Jabril Cox, I think, would be very beneficial to this team. But, like I said, it comes down to value as well, right? I'm not going to take, Davis or Cox in the first round, but, where's the right value for those players as well is a big thing. Owusu-Koramoah would be an option at 7. He's the best option for me if they go defense and can't find a trade partner. That's probably true. That's kind of where I'm looking at right now. Just looking at the way I think the board's going to play out. Obviously, we don't know if there's going to be a trade in the top 5 or not, but the way I'm looking at the board, Jeremiah is probably the best defensive talent you're going to get at 7. But again, you don't necessarily need to go with defense. There's a possibility to go receiver. I hope we trade down, but if we don't, Jeremiah, it might be a little bit of a reach down the board, but at the same time, who's better at 7 for the Lions than Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah? I like him a lot. I think he's not quite as top 7 talent, but at the same time, you're definitely not going to get him in the second round. He probably won't even get past the top 15 and definitely won't get past the top 20. So, I mean, it's also priority, right? Like, are you going to reach down the board a little bit for a great linebacker, but maybe give up a chance to get a top wide receiver at the same time? Like, again, it's a lot of talk about value at the number 7 overall pick, and I made a whole video talking about that. Like, there's not really a player worth the 7th overall pick. There's not really a top 7 talent that the Detroit Lions could pick at 7 that is, in my opinion, necessarily a top 7 talent. But at the same time, do you take Kyle Pitts if he's there just because he's the best player available and pair him with TJ Hawkinson? Do you take a tackle that, is in the flashiest pick that could maybe secure the offensive line? I mean, other than Penny Sewell, I'm not super high on the other 2 tackles projected to go super high, but I mean, there's always that option. Like, there's a lot. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see where the Lions go with that. That's still pretty rich. Take him at 7. That's what I was like. It's a little bit of a reach, but at the same time, at what point does positional value and positional need outweigh necessarily the top talents? Linebacker is not a high value position. No, it's not, but it can be a very, very impactful position. One pride, you forgot Nick Bolton. That's true too. Those 2 are very, very solid players as well. We got to remember there's a reason why teams let players go in free agency. We don't need to repeat Mike Daniels. That's true. That's very, very true. But the Bears are struggling a lot with the financial side as well. So I don't necessarily think it's a thing that, Akiem Hicks can't play so much as, just they need the money more so than they need Akiem Hicks. But like you said, yeah, you don't want to repeat the Mike Daniels thing. Mike Daniels was very injury prone when he got here to Detroit, and that really, really hurt the Lions in the long run. How valid is this theory that many teams are going to get gutted in this coming weeks? I think it's very true. The salary cap is dropping. I mean, if you go to, over the cap, like, let's just back out to just generic teams, right? We'll go, if it loads, of course, we'll go back and, you look at all of these teams' salary cap, you have already before free agency 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have almost a third of the league in below the cap already this season. Like, there's not going to be a lot of room for some of these teams to sign free agents, and they're going to need to figure out their cap situation. So, I mean, I think it's very realistic that you see a lot of teams cut players that they don't want to cut simply because the cap is going down, simply because contracts are too high at this point, and they're going to need to save some cap space for these drafted players, for incoming free agents, and to really keep some of their team structure together. So I think it's very valid. I think it's a very true thing, and I think it's very much going to happen. Unless Schwartz, I don't even know how to say that. Seward looks faster on tape. Also, what backer position will JD play? I mean, I don't know. If we keep Jared Davis, if it's a question for me, I think he should be I don't know I'm trying to think of a comparison. He should be a linebacker that blitzes a lot. He should be a guy to get after the quarterback. He should be a guy that isn't asked to drop into coverage a lot, or if he is asked to drop into coverage, make it something simple, something not critical to the play. Make it so that if Jared Davis messes up in coverage, it's not going to lead to a touchdown, but also don't put him in a situation to fail. Put Jared Davis in a position to play to his strengths, which is blitzing, is rushing the passer, is getting pressure. Those delayed blitzes, those quarterback spies, that's where Jared Davis thrives. And that's where you see Jared Davis get by far his most efficient production, is when he's playing that kind of a role. Yeah, it might seem rich, but if it's the right guy, you take him when you can. Tell me you would rather have Ruggs than Jefferson last season. Very true. I mean, obviously Justin Jefferson had a historic rookie season. I mean, like you said, I mean, he might not be a top 7 talent, but at the same time, if he's your guy, if he's the guy that you like, then I mean, you got to take your guy, right? If he's the right player, it doesn't matter where you take him because he's the right guy for your football team. Now, Luke G's field review says, I think OT is better than the linebacker. I think QB is better than linebacker. I don't think there is a defensive player worthy of a top 10 pick. I don't think there's a player necessarily worthy of a top 10 pick. I don't think there's a defensive player that I'm going to look at and say that's a top 10 that's a top 10 player in the class. But at the same time, if he's the right guy for your team, if he fits the best, if he has a good scheme fit, if you have a very ideal role for him, you know exactly where you want to play him. And, obviously, depending on how these guys view the tackles and quarterback class, or if there's even a quarterback still there, the talent might not necessarily be the right talent, but at the same time, if you got like Funk said just a minute ago, like if that's your guy, then you got to take him, regardless of if it's necessarily the right value or the best value at the pick. And that's kind of where the fine line is between BPA and positional value and, team value and positional need and all of that. Like, there's a fine line you got to walk. And it's just, there's a fine line you got to walk, and you got to be very careful about some of that stuff. I'm taking Jefferson. Very, very true. Who got picked first? Ruggs got picked first. But would you rather trade back, Luke? I think everybody would rather trade back. And I don't know what Luke's going to say, but based off just knowing him and knowing the way he likes to think about things and some of the things I've heard Luke say, I think he's going to want to trade back. Right? I think everybody wants to trade back. Everybody wants to get more picks, right? And if we trade back, to 15, then Jeremiah's there at 15, you definitely take Jeremiah there. The right player is the right player, whether he's early or not. That's very, very true, right? I don't see anybody complaining about, Justin Jefferson. He's in the first round. I don't see who else. Who was a early pick that was probably at the time was he reached on the board. There's a bunch of players that none of which are coming to my head right now, of course, but I'm sure there's several examples of players that were thought to be taken too high and turned out to be absolute monsters. Kenny Galladay was considered to be picked a round or two early, and Kenny Galladay turned out to be an absolute monster for the Detroit Lions. There's always players that are, picked too highly for their draft stock. There's players that are always overlooked, or there are players that are, reached for in the draft, but they turn out to be great players anyway. Like at the time, Kenny Galladay, when he was in the draft class, was projected as a 5th round prospect. I'm happy taking Kenny in the 3rd. I'd even take Kenny in the 2nd in that draft class over Cheese Tabor. Again, the draft is a lot of speculation, and as much tape as you can watch, you never know who's going to be the right player. For all we know, Trevor Lawrence is going to be the next Jamarcus Russell, and for all we know, Kellen Mond's going to be the next Tom Brady. You never know. It's all a guessing game. If not Sewell, then Slater, kid from Northwestern, who would be a solid pick at O-line. I think he's okay. I don't mind Slater. I got to watch more on Slater. I wouldn't say that I know a lot about the offensive line room outside of Penny Sewell. I definitely got to watch more on Slater. I definitely got to watch more on him. But, and I'm not necessarily against taking an offensive lineman. I just thought our offensive line is far from the biggest need. Obviously that right guard and right tackle spot's a big need, but our left tackle was very good. Our right guard or left guard or right guard, depending on where you want to put Jonah Jackson, was very solid. Frank Ragnow, Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber center, allowed 0 sacks last season. I think only allowed only a couple pressures, couple penalties. I wouldn't mind taking an offensive lineman necessarily, but I just don't think offensive line is necessarily the biggest need for the Detroit Lions. I thought their offensive line played very well last season. Let's see. It scrolled down a bit, so we're gonna go back up. The Big Ten always produces solid offensive linemen. That's true. That's very, very true. The offensive line from the Big Ten, that's generally one of their strong suits as a conference. In order, if stuck at 7, I want a QB to sit next year, OT Sewell or Slater, then Pitts, then Owosu Koromoa. Personally, I've voiced my opinion several times. I don't think taking a quarterback would be a good thing for the Lions. I don't think that would be very good for the Lions. I just don't think that would fit what they're trying to do. I don't think that's what they're looking for. And I genuinely don't think they're even looking for a quarterback based off what Dan Campbell has said. So, there's that. Sewell, obviously, if Penny Sewell is there, you take him. He's the best offensive tackle in maybe ever. Like, he's very, very good. Again, I got to watch a lot more on Slater. Pitts, I know it's a tight end, but he's more of a weapon than a tight end. And then him and Hawkinson would be absolutely, monstrous at the tight end position. That would be impossible to stop. And then again, Owusu Kormoa is a very good player, so I wouldn't be mad at that. I'm not sure if any of the top quarterbacks will be available. Some could jump the Lions and take Trey Lance at 6. That's probably true. That's very, very true. And I know there's a lot of people saying that the Eagles are going to take Trey Lance. I don't see that. I personally do not see the Eagles taking Trey Lance or a quarterback at all, especially in the first round. It's like you literally just chose Jalen Hurts over Carson Wentz and your head coach. And then you're going to turn around and cut Jalen Hurts anyway. Like, that wouldn't make a lot of sense to me. The Eagles are in a weird situation by themselves. Like, they've been in a weird situation for a couple of years now. Like, it doesn't make sense for the Eagles to take a quarterback at 7, even though a lot of people think they're going to for some reason. Like, that franchise literally just chose a second-year player in Jalen Hurts who played not even half the games this season over a quarterback that took them, that would have taken them to a Super Bowl if healthy, and their Super Bowl winning head coach. Like, their front office is whack. Their front office is goofed, and I don't see them taking one at 7, but the trade-up potential is definitely there for another team. If we trade back, my targets would be JOK, Bateman, Bolton, Barmore, or one of those guys. I would agree. I'd put Zaven Collins on that list as well. I'd potentially put Gregory Rousseau there, depending on how far we trade back. If it's like the late 20s, if we trade back, a bit farther than most people want, I think you could throw Rousseau in there. I think you could throw Zaven Collins in there as well. Those are just two other guys I would throw in there in that hat or in that ring. You can't count on trading back. The Lions need to go into the draft planning to pick at 7. Yeah, that's very, very true. And, I've been looking at that a lot, and I've been trying to find who's the best player at the 7th overall pick. And to me, I don't see a good player that's going to fit the Lions tremendously with, the top 10 talent, top 7 talent. But, again, like you're saying, like, you got to plan for the 7th overall pick. But as a Lions fan and as an NFL fan, it makes far more sense for them to trade down. And that's all I've been trying to say is, like, yeah, you got to look into it, but at the same time, you got to prepare for 7, but you also have, if you go in with a plan trying to trade down, like, trading down would be the best option for the Detroit Lions. If they want a quarterback, may have to trade up for or be left with Trask, Monderbook. I like Kyle Trask. I think he's a solid quarterback, to be totally honest. I don't know why he gets a lot of hate. Like, he statistically outperformed Joe Burrow's senior season. Like, he quietly had a very good senior campaign for the Florida Gators. Like, he was really, really good for them. And I wouldn't mind Kyle Trask. I think he's going to fall. He's been not talked about a lot. He's not even really being put in like the top 7 quarterback rankings. Like, I think he'll genuinely be there on day 3. And I think the Lions could get him on day 3. And I think he's got a lot of tools there. Ian Book, not quite sure about. Kellen Mond, I think he's solid. I think he's okay. But, again, I don't even think it'd be worth the Lions drafting a first-round quarterback, to be honest. Like, unless, like, there's a Trevor Lawrence there, maybe. If Jack Wilson falls, then yeah. But, like, I don't see the value in picking Trey Lance at 7 when, the Lions are not looking at this as a retool. They're looking at this as, we're going to build a competitive roster for 2021, and we're going to go win now. Like, we're going to go be competitive. We're going to go make the playoffs with a young 26-year-old quarterback that's been to the been to the Pro Bowl 2 times in 5 seasons, as well as taking his team to the playoff numerous times and taking his team to a Super Bowl. Like, that's how the Lions are looking at it, and that's why I don't see the value in taking a quarterback when they're very clearly looking to build around Jared Goff. They said Rags was a reach. That's true. Rags is a monster. I love Frank Ragnow. Future salary cap implications if a high value position is not taken at 7. You got to think about that as well. Obviously, future salary cap's big. Many mocks have Detroit taking Jamar Chase. I don't think I don't think Jamar Chase falls all the way. I don't think Jamar Chase falls to number 7. I would be absolutely shocked if that happens. If Jamar Chase is there at 7, I would be speechless. There'd be no words because there's no way he doesn't fall. I just don't see it. more than okay with that. I'd be very okay with taking Jamar Chase at 7, but I don't see him falling that way. Best available player strategy, I guess. Yeah, he would be the best player available, but at the same time, like as I said, it's not super realistic. Well, I think you need to address the O line to give Goff better production, best chance of success. That's true. That's very true. Like I said, the offensive line last year I thought played relatively well. You have, I'd say, at least three very solid. I'd say you have two top 5 players at their respective positions in Decker and Ragnow. You have a very solid rookie coming off a solid rookie season in Jonah Jackson. Even Tyrell Crosby didn't play very badly last year. Like, you get that right guard position, like, I don't know, maybe Brandon Scherf from the Washington football team, who I talked about yesterday. Like, that's your right guard right there. And then either you play Big V or Tyrell Crosby. That's 5 solid across the offensive line. Like, the offensive line, truthfully, I think is one of the strengths of this team. And, that with a strong running game with Deuce Staley, Anthony Lynn being former running backs, DeAndre Swift being one of the top young rookie running backs in the NFL, and then maybe you get a home run hitter in the draft or in free agency, that's a solid backfield to help Jared Goff take pressure off that as well. So, I mean, there's always that road as well. What I was asking was, does JD best fits Will, Sam, Mike, Jack, which one? I mean, I honestly don't know. Honestly, I don't know. It's hard to say, especially without knowing who else is going to be on the roster. I don't know the exact name for what they're going to try to put him at, but I can tell you what I want Jared Davis to accomplish and what I want him doing on the field, but I guess I couldn't tell you whether I want him at the Will, Sam, Mike, or Jack. Probably not the Jack linebacker, but honestly, couldn't tell you all that as of right now, especially until I see who everybody else is on the field with Jared Davis, right? I like Chase, I do, but I'd much rather have Pitts to play the kid in the slot. Him and Hawk would be, Kyle Pitts and TJ Hawkinson would actually cause defensive coordinators nightmares. Like, that would be so unbelievably scary for the Lions. And if they use him right, if they got a plan for Kyle Pitts, I got no problem taking Kyle Pitts in the draft. I know he's a tight end, but the dude is he's an offensive weapon. And that's all he is. He's a wideout playing tight end, basically. Yeah, like 1.4 says, Pitts is a wideout anyway. He very much is. I don't know how we do crazy stuff lately. I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if Howie Roseman took a quarterback, but I don't see it personally. The issue with Trask is I think he doesn't go through all of his reads. Yeah, but I mean, people say that about Justin Fields. People say that about Kyle Trask. People say that about Trey Lance. Like, that's not an uncommon theme when it comes to college quarterbacks, right? I mean, that's kind of one of the biggest things that every NFL team has to do with their young quarterbacks is teach them to go through every read. Because in college at Ohio State, like, even though Justin Fields very much showed a lot of the time that he can go through multiple reads, he wasn't asked to do it. Like, if you're a college quarterback and you're wide receiver, your first read is getting wide open every single time, then you don't need to look to the next read. That doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you don't have to. And if your first read's open every time, why would you go to the next read, right? I mean, same thing with Trevor Lawrence. Like, if his first read's open all the time, what would be the point of going to that second read? Same thing with, Kyle Trask or Zach Wilson. If your first read's open and you can make the throw, why go to your second read? Kyle Pitts is the same way. Like, that's I think a theme with a majority of college quarterbacks coming out is we haven't seen them read an entire field before because they've not needed to read an entire field before. So, I mean, I definitely get what you're saying with that. I do. I just think, if they don't need to read the field, then they haven't really had that opportunity to show it because they've never been asked to do it and they've never had to do it before. But, I definitely think he needs to do it. I think he needs to show he can do it, but I don't think it's something he's incapable of doing, I guess is what my point was. Kyle Trask was in the Heisman race too. That's very true. He's a good quarterback. Like, that's all there is. And especially if you get him to groom under Jared Goff, if you're not a big fan of Jared Goff, you pair him with his biggest weapon from Florida, a guy that he already has chemistry with, already has that connection with, in Kyle Pitts at 7. Like, that could cause a lot of problems like if he does take over. In my opinion, ranking 4 best non-quarterback positions: Sewell, Chase, Pitts, Slater. I think that's probably fair. That's probably I would agree with that, Steve. I think that's a very, very good ranking. I would put Sewell's definitely 1, Chase probably 2. I think you could interchange Pitts and Chase, but I'd like both of them. I think both of them are just big weapons for a guy like Jared Goff to use. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, it depends what you want, right? It depends what this coaching staff is looking for, but I mean, I'd be happy with any of those guys for sure. And I would agree with your order. I think your order is pretty darn solid. About right. One Pride 40 agrees with you as well. The people that keep complaining about the defense needing linebackers seem to not understand that you build a defense from the trenches out, starting with defensive tackle. I keep saying that's very, very true, but at the same time, the linebacker play wasn't very good last year either. Like, I mean, you look, Jared Davis couldn't cover. Jamie Collins missed a lot of tackles in the open field. Like, the missed tackles is what really bugs me because, yes, the missed tackles is not on the defensive linemen. Yes, defensive linemen, defensive tackles, edge rushers, the front seven in general, helps everybody, right? The better your front seven is, the better your secondary is. The better your front four is, your front three is, the better your linebackers are going to look. But the linebackers also missed a lot of tackles in space, and that's not on the defensive line. It's not on the defensive line that Jamie Collins missed 10% of his tackles. It's not on the defensive line that Jared Davis can't tackle. It's not on the defensive line that our linebackers can't cover in space. Like, that's not on them. And that's where I have a problem with our linebackers. And, that's where my not disgust. That's where my, I guess, frustration with the linebackers comes into play. JD is a 4-3 Mike. There you go. There's your answer. I got to look into some of that. Like, I got to look into positions like that because, like, I could tell you the role I want a player to play, but I guess I'm not as knowledgeable about like the Mike, the Sam, the Will. Like, I know what they are slightly, but I definitely got to do more research into that. I agree we need some linebackers, but everybody starts at the line, not the backfield / secondary. That's true. That's very true. And that's why I think, Barmore was a good pick in my mock draft. That starts with the defensive line right there. That's why I'm not a big fan of getting rid of Shelton because I thought he played relatively solid last year. That's why if you're looking, you got Jarrell Casey as a possible free agent. I hope the Lions bring in you got, that's why a lot of people are hoping for Akiem Hicks to want a revenge tour against the Bears. Like, that's where you start as the defensive line for sure. And I think we have some pieces at the line. Obviously, Okwara, you got to bring back Trey Flowers, 7 to 8 sack guy, but the interior needs to get fixed. And I mean, they need to stay healthy first before anything. That's the problem with JD. He can't cover. I mean, that's always been his problem, even back to his Florida days. I wish there was a blue chip DT, but unfortunately, that kind of player isn't in this draft. You never know. Somebody like Barmore might be a monster, but as of now, many questions that take us out. Yeah, I mean, I'm not taking Christian Barmore at 7. Definitely not. He's a mid first round prospect at the earliest. Like, he's just, I don't know. Like, I like Christian Barmore as a player, but I'm definitely not taking him at 7. And that's why I think a lot of the Lions value would be 15 to 20, even, 20 to 25. That's the round where you can get the high potential edge rushers like Kwity Paye or Gregory Rousseau. That's where you can get your Christian Barmore. That's where you can get even your Zach Wilson to help with Zaven Collins to help with pass rush. Like, that's where you could even get Jeremiah might be gone by then, but that's where you can get some of your front 7 guys more so than anything else is, in the middle of the first round. That's where the value is for your defensive lineman. That's why I think more than anything, the Lions should trade back. But like you said, I mean, you never know, right? Barmore might be a monster, or Rousseau might be a monster. Kwity Paye might be a monster in the NFL, but I mean, you just don't know. And as of right now, coming out of college, none of those guys are top 7 talents when being compared to their other classmates. A lot of people would hate Pitts at pick 7 because of the tight end label. Yeah, there's a lot of people that would be incredibly mad, and no disrespect if you don't like Kyle Pitts at 7, but if you're mad if you don't want Kyle Pitts strictly because he's listed as a tight end, you don't know football that well. And I don't mean to be rude about it. I don't mean to like hurt feelings or anything like that, but he's not a tight end. He's a weapon. He's more of a wide receiver than anything else. You run 2 tight end sets, him and Hockenson are going to have a field day on the field, because I guarantee you there's maybe 1 or 2 teams in the NFL that have the linebackers to cover both Pitts and Hockenson. That team is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Devin White and Levante David. If Levante even comes back next season, like, other than that team, other than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, name one team that could consistently cover Kyle Pitts and TJ Hockenson. Not to mention Tyrell Williams and, unlikely as it looks like, Kenny Galladay on the outside. That would be a monstrous receiving core. I would be happy with that personally. What's he in a 4-3? Couldn't tell you. Probably, I don't know. The issue with Barmore is he doesn't turn it on until the 4th. That's true. But I don't want to say that has to do with coaching, because obviously Nick Saban is one of the greatest college coaches of all time. But I think you could definitely help him. I don't want to say help him turn it on earlier, but like, I think with proper, I don't know, I just think he needs to develop that mentality. And that's something that either you have or you don't. It's not like really something you can teach a player, which is tough. But I mean, if you can get him to play all 4 quarters, then he's going to be a monster, I think, in the NFL. But again, that's like a mentality thing. And that's, like I said last stream, that's a big thing for me, is the mentality. Like, are you going to work hard for 4 quarters? Because if you're not, then your value is significantly decreased. Need to launch Tavai out of a cannon. I think people hate on Tavai unnecessarily. Like, I get that he's not great, but like, I think the hate for Jelani Tavai is a little over the top. Depends on the 3-4 and more of an older style 3-4. He's an outside edge type. Yeah, that's fair. More modern style. Where's Luke when you need him? I like Rashawn Weaver. Rashawn Weaver's the pass rusher out of Pitt, if I'm not mistaken, correct? You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Rashad Weaver, he's a pass rusher. I like him. He's not really a run stopper per se, but he could definitely get to the passer if you need him to. He could definitely be a rotational guy if you need him to be. DT is the weakest position group in the draft. That's true. It's really Barmore, and that's it. Like, there's one defensive tackle that I'm drafting in the first round. That's Barmore. And even the edge rushing class, like, I'll take, I guess, Rousseau in the first round, like late first round, though. I'll take maybe Kwity Paye in the late first round, mid, like that 20-ish range. I'll take Kwity Paye just because of his potential and definitely not because of his production. But, like, this defensive line class is rough, man. But next year's going to be solid. Next year's going to be a sick defensive line class. But this year, it's a rough one for sure. That's tough. As it would depend on what they do to the D line. What Patricia was trying, he should have been in Christian Jones' spot. Yeah, that's true. But if you go with what Barmore did, he would be inside. Yep. What was Jones' spot? Christian Jones played the jack linebacker position a lot. He played, well, maybe not the jack, but he was pass rushing a lot. So it was not. And he's not very good at it, to be totally honest. He played left outside linebacker opposite of the jack. So I don't know. I don't really know a lot between. So I got to do a lot of research on that. Kwity Paye reminds me of Ziggy Ansah, freak athlete that's raw with college production that doesn't match up. I mean, I get that, but like at the same time, like I guess I don't know what Ziggy Ansah accomplished when he was coming out. I came out of BYU, if I'm not mistaken, but for some reason that's in my head is he came out of BYU. But like I don't like the fact I don't like players that don't produce in college, because if you can't produce in college, why would you be able to produce at the NFL level? And obviously that's not true for everybody, right? I mean, obviously that's not the case for every single player, but like, if you can't produce at the college level, why would you be able to produce at the NFL level? And more times than not, you don't. So that's just my thing. It's like a cross between Sam and Mike. I see somebody say move Tavai to D-tackle. I mean, maybe if Tavai grew like 7 inches and put on like 100 pounds, would it be? No, that would be terrible. Obviously, that would be terrible. Some fans are simple. Yes, they are. Phillips is nice, and Weaver reminds me of a Preston Smith. Yeah, I think that's a fair comparison. Fans are slow sometimes. Yes, they are. Yeah, also launch. I'll get on the launch Christian Jones, man. I do not like Christian Jones a lot. We talk about the tight end label on Pitts. I mean, again, not a tight end, weapon. Not a tight end, he's a weapon. So, I mean, I don't know. I get that, like, I get the whole, like, I don't want to take a tight end in the top 8 again, right? You take Hockenson, take a year off, take another tight end in the top 10. Like, I get how bad that would look for the Detroit Lions, and I get how bad that would look to a fan base who really doesn't want another tight end. But again, Kyle Pitts is not a tight end. Kyle Pitts is a wide receiver, and Kyle Pitts is a weapon. So would Kyle Pitts be my first choice? He would not be. But if Kyle Pitts joined the team, would I be mad about it? I absolutely would not be mad about it, because that tells me that they likely have a plan for him, and they're going to get both of tight ends involved, and we're going to run a lot of crazy things with Pitts and Hockenson, and we're going to give a lot of defensive nightmare, or we're going to give a lot of defensive coordinators migraines and nightmares. Phillips out of Miami. If so, my only issue is the concussion. Yeah, I like Phillips. I think he's a solid player as well. I don't know if he's necessarily a first-round pick, but I think if he's there day 2, I think there's a very real chance you take him. Very, very good argument to be made. Phillips has Javid Best written all over him. Do we really need that pain again? Man, that sucks. Like, the whole Javid Best thing, like, he was a good running back too. Like, it's not even like he was a bust or anything. Like, he was a good running back that just got unlucky with concussions. And that really, really sucks to see. It does. Oh, dear God. Best option for Tavai is off the roster. Again, I think Tavai gets more hate than he deserves. Like, I get that he didn't play very well last season, but I think he gets more hate. And I think, at least for me, I don't think Patricia did him any favors. I don't think Patricia necessarily put Tavai in the greatest situation. Now, that's not to say that it's all on Matt Patricia, or it's all on, Jelani Tavai. Obviously it's a combination of the two, right? You put some of the blame on Jelani, some of the blame goes to Matt Patricia, some of it goes to Corey Unlin, some of it goes to the linebackers coaching. Like, there's a lot of blame to be going around, and I think that a lot of it is on coaching and play calling, but obviously some of that is on Tavai as well. So I'd like to see Tavai one more year under a proper coaching staff, under hopefully a proper linebackers coach, a proper defensive coordinator, a guy that's going to understand where to put him to give him the most success. But I mean, if he doesn't pick it up next year, then I think you got a real strong argument for it. Who is Phillips? Phillips is the defensive end out of Miami, who actually had a very solid season last year. If it said wide receiver, many fans would be okay with it. That's very true. That's very true. And that's why I try to look past the whole label, because like I was talking about either last stream or 2 streams ago, like, the NFL has changed so much. Like, a traditional tight end back in the 50s or 60s doesn't even compare to a tight end now. Like, a quarterback today, like, if you were to tell somebody back in the 50s that, like, if you were to describe a quarterback today back in the 50s, nobody would believe you. Like, positions and the way positions are played, and the NFL has changed so much that, I mean, just because Kyle Pitts is a tight end does not mean he's a traditional tight end that you think of. He's definitely more of a wide receiver, definitely more of a weapon. He's a receiver, like, not a wide receiver. He's just a receiving threat, and he's a weapon. Just put a W next to his name. Man's a weapon. Jalen Phillips, D end out of Miami. Yep. Jalen Phillips, my friend. Pitts can block too. Can he? I thought that was like one of the things that he wasn't super good at. He gets overlooked because he was spread out so much. I think he only spent like 45% of his snaps on the line. I haven't seen a lot of Kyle Pitts blocking. Obviously, there's not like, you're not going to see highlights of him blocking people like TJ was coming out of college. But I mean, I thought he kind of had some struggles blocking. I watched him a little bit trying to block. I wasn't incredibly impressed, but maybe I'll go back. Maybe I'll have to go back and rewatch some of that, because I mean, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, because I haven't seen it, but obviously you see something that you like. So I'll go back and check it out for sure. It appears Holmes is all about speed. I like the speed, man. We need speed on this roster. We really, really do. Phillips is a very well-rounded defensive end. That's true. From what I've seen, I really like him as a defensive end for sure. Very, very true. Pairing Pitts with Hockenson might be the best place he could land because Pitts isn't an inline tight end. No, I don't think he is. I think, like I said, but it's funny because if we were to draft Kyle Pitts, you could realistically, if you retain Kenny Galladay, obviously, which it sounds like they're going to based off what I've seen from, even Ian Rappaport tweeting stuff out, you could have TJ outside. I mean, TJ realistically could be boundary wide receiver, on fades or on goal line situations, and he could really go up and get the football. Kyle Pitts is the same way. TJ Hockenson, Kyle Pitts, Kenny Galladay, now Tyrell Williams, even Geronimo Allison at 6'3". Man, that would be wild. That would be a fun offense to watch. I just got done watching Amari Rodgers highlights from Clemson. He's nice. Yes, Amari Rodgers is a very clean route runner. He's got very good hands, showed out very well at the Senior Bowl. I like him a lot as a late round wide receiver. I would not be mad at him. Elijah Moore, another guy. I think that's Elijah Moore, the dude out of Old Miss. Very good wide receiver, creates a lot of separation. Both of them do. Guys that'll go day 2, maybe even day 3. I'd be super, super happy with that. I'd be super happy. Funk, what did you think of Rashad Weaver? I like Rashad Weaver. Pitts is Aaron Hernandez 2.0. Hopefully without some of the off-field shenanigans. No offense. This fan base is very much closed-minded. Yes, they are. Very, very much. We complained about Tyrell Williams, who has a 1-year deal. I like the Tyrell Williams pickup. I liked it a lot. I thought it was a solid pickup. I thought it was a good wide receiver. I mean, as I said, I think he's going to come in and basically be a bigger, faster Marvin Jones, who creates better separation. That's kind of how I view it. That's kind of how I see it. You guys very, very much are open to disagree. I'm very open to discussion with that, but I see him as just a good weapon, good replacement for Marvin Jones. I haven't watched enough to give a good reply on Weaver. I will, though. I haven't watched a ton on him, but from what I have seen, I like him. I've seen enough to know that he would not be a bad pick. Fair enough. I'm impressed with Weaver a lot. Pass rushing moves for sure. Oh, I have a draft crush on him and Cornell Powell. Cornell Powell is I like him as well. I think Clemson has a lot of underrated wide receivers coming out, like Cornell Powell, Amari Rodgers, 2 wide receivers that are not going to go very high, but 2 wide receivers that I think at least will be in the NFL for a long time. I think they're both going to be very productive. They both create very good separation, both run very clean and crisp routes. I think both of them will be amazing depth. Powell is awesome depth. Yeah, for sure. Jalen Darden is nice too, wide receiver from North Texas. I have not seen him yet. I have not looked at him, but I'll definitely have to go back and look. I'll definitely have to go back and watch him. He's fast and literally always makes someone miss when he gets the ball. Don't know if I've not heard of him. I personally have not, but I will definitely go and check him out. Definitely go check him out. He seems like an intriguing wide receiver. Oh no, he got hurt. Bad deal. Why he pay $4.7 million to him? I think that's supposed to say big deal, but I mean 4.7, that's not a ton of money. That's not a ton of them, but hey, I mean, I like Tyrell. I'd cry if we get one of them. I love both of them. I'd like either one of those 2. I think both of them would be very good. And then, one funky Lion fan says, also big fan of Tylan Wallace. I like Tylan as well. I think Tylan Wallace he's more of a downfield deep threat wide receiver. I don't know if he doesn't really run the routes that Amari and Cornell Powell do, but I think he's a bigger wide receiver. He's a little bit better at contested catches. But, this whole wide receiver class is just loaded. I mean, you got obviously the big names, Chase, Smith, and Wallace. You have guys like, Eskridge and Rondell Moore that run in the 4.3s. You have route runners like Powell and Amari Rodgers. Yeah, I mean, if you need a wide receiver in this class, it's loaded at every single style, every single type of wide receivers, big wide receivers, small wide receivers, route runners, contested catches, speed. And I mean, dude is just, I say dude, wide receiver is just loaded in this draft class. And I think it's going to be very good next year as well. He's tiny though, Looney. That's who, let's see. Oh, Jaden Daniels. I haven't seen him, but I'll definitely take a look. Wallace, another good one. I like Wallace as well. Looney Tunes says I wasn't the biggest fan of Tyrell Williams signing, but I'll give him a chance. That's fair. You don't got to be a big fan of the guy, but I will say, you don't got to be the biggest fan. I wasn't the biggest fan of Matt Patricia, but I mean, it would be unwise if we just didn't give him a chance, right? It'd be unwise to have a guy come in here and say, like, just write him off early, write him off immediately. So I like him. I like him a lot, but again, I'm not going to be blind. Like, if he's not playing well, I'm going to say it how it is. And, again, that's all I'm saying. Like, all I'm saying is if you're a fan, you got to give your players, your coaches a chance, right? I hate the people that are like, oh, this signing is bad because it's a Lions move. This, like, Brad Holmes is bad because we've not had a good coach in a long time. Or Dan Campbell is bad because we haven't had a good head coach in a long time. Or, like, that doesn't make sense. Like, people that were like, oh, TJ Hawkinson was a bad pick because Eric Ebron sucked. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you got to give him a chance at least to show what he can do. But One Pride 40 says, why don't you like Tylen? Doesn't matter, One Pride. If he can produce, he can produce. That's very fair. Very, very fair. Boss 123124698 says, my guy, big on YouTube. I wouldn't say I'm big on YouTube, but hey, I'm trying. I'm trying to get there. I'd say if I make 1,000 subscribers, then I might entertain that one. But definitely not big on YouTube yet. Still working, still grinding my way up. So we're at 856 as of right now. So we're getting there. We're 150-ish subscribers away. Can definitely get there by the draft. That would be my goal. If we could get there by the draft, I don't even know. I'd do something, man. I'd have to do something crazy. Hey, Looney, why don't you like him? I mean, hey, Looney Tune, I like Darden. Can also catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a weapon after the catch. You can get him in the 5th or 6th round. I mean, hey, again, I'll have to go watch him, but from what I'm hearing, I'm excited to go watch the guy. I'm excited to go see him. Tyrell, no scrub. Tyrell's not a scrub for sure, because I wanted someone like Will Fuller or just someone with speed. That's what this team is missing. It's old and slow for the list part. But, I mean, just because Tyrell runs in the 4.4s. Like, Tyrell's a fast wide receiver. Like, it's not like Tyrell Williams runs in like the 4.7s. Like, he's a fast wide receiver. He runs in the 4.4s. Like, maybe not burner, like elite Tyreek Hill speed, but Tyrell Williams runs pretty good. You're on the 4.3s even. Like, Tyrell Williams is a fast wide receiver. He just doesn't look that fast because he's long. He's got a long stride to him. But he's a fast wide receiver, man. He's big, fast, strong, separates. I mean, not gonna say the whole package, but dude's pretty good. What did Holmes do wrong? Nothing really yet. That's true. That's very true. Holmes hasn't done anything yet that makes me think that he's bad. Exactly, Steve-O. Dude's so nice. Who was Steve talking about? Oh, the Williams did out of North Texas. Yeah. Tyrell runs in the high 4.3s. He can run after the catch and catch the deep ball. That's true. Did he run the 4.3s or the 4.4s? I wanted to say 4.4s, but maybe not. I don't know. But the dude's still relatively fast. Like, Tyrell Williams is far from a slow wide receiver, and he might be the fastest wide receiver on the team right now. And just because we picked up Tyrell Williams doesn't mean we can't go get another wide receiver. Doesn't mean we can't go get a Curtis Samuel. Doesn't mean we can't go get, I don't like Will Fuller because he can't stay on the field, but even a John Ross, like, again, can't stay on the field, but dude is blazer. Dude blazes past people. Dude is fast. There's a lot of fast wide receivers out there, and just because we got Tyrell Williams doesn't mean we can't go get one of those small, fast, quick, shifty receivers either. Might need to look into that regarding, obviously, the 4.2 or 4.2. Man, imagine if Tyrell ran a 4.2. Regarding the 4.3 or 4.4 speed. Yeah, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I could tell you Tyrell's a pretty fast wide receiver. He's a big guy, got long strides, and covers a lot of ground incredibly quickly for the Raiders and did it for the Chargers as well. But I like him. I like Tyrell a lot. I think he's going to be a big threat down the field. So yeah, I'm a fan of that. We also restructured Jamie Collins' contract to free up a little bit of cap space as well. Yeah, I did see that. I don't think the exact number came out yet, or if it has, I haven't seen it. But from what I've heard, it's going to free up at least $5 million, if not more, in the cap this season, which is really solid. I used to believe Bob Quinn was good at his job. Yikes. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe this, because I don't think Bob Quinn is necessarily a bad general manager, because like he did some good things. And like if you're going to come up to me and say like, Bob Quinn was the worst general manager I've ever seen and he never did anything right, that would not be true, right? The Snacks trade was good value. It's not his fault Snacks didn't want to be here after a season under Patricia. Like, he made the trade, got good value for a good player, and brought in a very good defensive tackle to help this team. You look at, I don't know, something got just caught in my teeth or something. You look at who else? You look at some of the later round picks, Tracy Walker or Deshaun Hand or Kenny Galladay or, John Pennicini. Made some good picks in the late round as well. Got some good value. Like, he wasn't all bad, but I would definitely not say he was a good general manager either, especially when it came to his bias towards the Patriot way and some of the players he gave contracts, man. That was just rough. How much faster is a guy that runs 4.3 to a 4.4? It's less than an arm length. Yeah, but that 4.3 to 4.4 could be the difference between a touchdown or getting hawked down within the 5, right? That could be the difference between a 70, 80-yard touchdown or just a 60-yard gain. Like, it might not seem like a lot. A tenth of a second might not seem like a lot, but it can make the difference between touchdown or turnover. It can make the difference between you getting to the ball or the ball getting intercepted. If you're a wide receiver, that can be the difference between you getting under that football in stride or having to lay out and dive for the catch, making it a lot more difficult. If you're a defensive back, the difference between 3-4 or a difference between 4-3 and 4-4 is the difference between a touchdown and an interception. Like, every second, every tenth of a second counts in the NFL. So, Steve, I get what you're saying, but that speed it's important. It is. Every second counts. Every tick of the clock counts for every single player. So if we grab a Javonte Williams in the 4th, I'd be happy with our backfield. Is Javonte Williams? I know he's one of the UNC running backs. I'm just trying to think if he'd probably be the 2nd running back off the board. No, he was like the 2nd. He was technically the backup at North Carolina. No, unless I know there were 2 good North Carolina running backs, and I like both of them a lot. And if we can get either one in the 4th round, I'd be happy. I was just trying to figure out who was who. So, yep, I'm kind of curious what his new contract looks like. I don't know. The numbers haven't come out yet, but it says it's going to save a significant amount of cap. So, we'll see. We'll see we'll see what that significant cap is, and 2, we'll see what they're looking to do with it. We still will look for a blazing slot receiver. That's for sure. I think so. I think, like I said, you got Dwayne Eskridge or, Curtis Samuels in the free agency, or, even John Ross, if you want to pick him up for like a low risk, high reward kind of a contract, you could do that as well. So yeah, I think it's very realistic that we go get a, fast blazing wide receiver. And just because we got Tyrell doesn't mean that we can't draft more wide receivers. I think the Lions have no choice to restructure Goff and Flowers deals. $28 million could go a long way for this offseason. That's true. I think it's possible. I don't know what the numbers would look like for sure. Obviously, I don't know what the numbers would look like if we restructured either contract, but I mean, it definitely couldn't hurt us, right? I mean, it couldn't hurt us to save any amount of money. If you had to pick one running back to get alongside Swift, who would it be? Well, one, Kerryon Johnson is still there, and I like Kerryon as a player still. I think with Deuce Staley and Anthony Lynn, I think Kerryon's going to look a lot better next season. But if I could pick one running back just a singular one. And it doesn't say in the draft, so I'm assuming free agency is on the table as well. Who's available? Like, I'm trying to think home run hitters, like fast running backs. I haven't, obviously the combine hasn't happened, so it's hard to tell, like, who the 4-3 guys are, or, who the fastest running back is or whatever. But honestly, I just want a home run hitter because DeAndre Swift can go through the tackles. DeAndre Swift can make people miss, and DeAndre Swift is good for 6 yards a carry. But DeAndre Swift doesn't necessarily have the most breakaway speed to take it 70 yards of the house, right? DeAndre Swift nor Kerryon Johnson have the ability to take it 60, 70, 80 yards to the house like any burst, a one-play 80-yard touchdown. So anybody that can do that, a guy that's going to get 5, 6 touches a game, but a guy that every single touch has a real possibility of taking it to the house is a guy that I want in the backfield to complement Swift and Kerryon. The Patriot way is BS and nothing else. Very, very true. There's a lot more bad than good with Bob Quinn. That's true. Very, very true. I'll very much give you that. But like I said, to say that Bob Quinn never did anything good would be lying. But to say Bob Quinn had more bad than good would be more than truthful. Unfortunately, I don't think Javonte makes it out of the second round because he is the perfect running back to pair with Swift. I mean, I don't disagree, but at the same time, I don't think the Lions are in a position where they can take a running back in the second round again, but I didn't think that last year either, so you never know. Brad Holmes is different. We haven't seen him draft yet. We've not seen his drafting style yet, so we'll have to wait and see on that one for sure. Looney, the best part about Collins' restructure is the added a year and no new money. That's true. That's going to help a lot, I think. Oh, why not Carter? I mean, Carter, I don't know. It's just nothing wrong. The best move of the offseason was bringing in Dorsey. That's, I think, one of the most underrated moves we're going to see out of the Detroit Lions, and I was a big fan of that move. I was very, very happy with that. Exactly, Funk. So if we went over to him much, exactly, Funk. So we went over him much, if anything. Again, let the rumor on it anyway. Yeah. The Patriots purge, Flowers restructure. Hoping for that one as well. No draft. The draft of that slot receiver. I think you could draft him. I think Amari Rodgers could be a good slot receiver. I think Cornell Powell could be a good slot receiver. Neither of the two, from what I've seen, are like blazing like for like Henry Ruggs or Tyreek Hill fast, but very good separation guys. Definitely enough speed to get out of it's definitely enough speed to take it the distance. I wouldn't be shocked if Holmes takes a running back in the third. Rams took Akers when no one thought they were taking a running back that high. That's true. That's very, very true. I would not be shocked at that, but I think the second's a little early. I think pick 42, I think, would be a little early for a running back, unless maybe it's like a Travis Etienne or something. Like Travis, oh my God. Travis Etienne and DeAndre Swift would be monsters together. Like, that would be the most dangerous offense, maybe in the NFL. Maybe not the NFL, maybe the NFC, if we have Jared Goff, who is an okay quarterback, but you give me an offense with Kenny Galladay and Tyrell Williams on the boundary, Kyle Pitts and TJ Hawkinson as my tight ends. You give me Travis Etienne and DeAndre Swift at my running back with the same offensive line as last year, and maybe maybe Amari Rodgers in the slot and Quintez Cephas as the backup. That is a dangerous offense right there. Better trade back. I hope so. I think I just skipped this question entirely. What about Justin Coleman? He got some super big contract too or not? Yeah, Justin Coleman's got a huge contract, and I think he'll be released more. I think he'll be released probably after June 1st because that will save us more money. The Lions owe Goff $0 guaranteed. If they restructure him, they would make it more expensive to move him in the future. If they do that, it means he's the future quarterback. Yeah, it's true. But I view him as the future quarterback. So at least in my opinion, in my eyes, he's the future quarterback. But again, I'm not with the Lions organization yet, so I couldn't tell you. Free agency kind of overrated. I mean, yes and no. You can definitely improve your team in free agency, but you definitely can't build a championship roster through free agency. But you like if you're that one piece away, you can definitely get there, but you definitely can't build your team through free agency. You got to build it through the draft. So, is Demetric Felton is a home run hitter waiting to happen? That's the kid out of UCLA, isn't it? The wide receiver, running back, the guy that kind of plays both for UCLA. If is that who it is, I feel like that's got to be who I'm thinking of. Let's see. Because it's gonna bother me if not. So Demetric Felton, football player. Yeah, this is the kid I was talking about. This dude's electric. This dude would be crazy. I'd love this player for the team. He'd be fun too. He'd be fun. Him and DeAndre Swift would be a good combination. I think they'd both do very well. Didn't really have like the biggest numbers at UCLA, but at the same time, like definitely a receiving threat, definitely a running threat, big play opportunity. A 2019 long of 75 and a long of 94 on a reception. Like, dude can definitely take it the distance. Do not touch that golf contract. No running back a luxury. The running back is a luxury. That's very, very true. That's why I don't think the Lions are in any position to take one. I'm just saying, like, my God, could you imagine Travis Etienne and DeAndre Swift? That'd be a deadly combination. That'd be fun. That would be fun. I've also seen people say that we need or should take another corner in the draft. Like, this fan base got to be some idiots. I mean, like, you might disagree with me when I say this. I don't think drafting a cornerback would be necessarily a bad option. But if we're going to draft a cornerback, it's going to be a day 3 guy. If we're going to draft a cornerback, like, I'm not drafting a cornerback before the 5th round. And if there's a 5th round guy there with some size, speed, upside, then I think you could take him, give him some depth, give Amani, give Okuda, give some depth. I think Sean Wade, his stock fell a lot. He was a really good slot cornerback for the Buckeyes. Like, if he's there in round 4, round 5, I think you could take him and replace Justin Coleman. That's your replacement right there for Justin Coleman. Then you free up all that money by cutting him. Like, I don't obviously do not draft a cornerback in the 1st. Do not draft a corner in the 2nd, 3rd, or probably even the 4th. But if you get to the 5th round and there's a size and speed cornerback there that has high upside, there's nothing wrong with taking him at that point. Please don't start restructuring all of these contracts, kicking the can down the road, built through the draft. And if guys earn that a second look, sign them. Very, very fair. Very, very fair. Pipe dream wouldn't be crazy if Dodds came in with the Lions. That wouldn't happen, but that would be insane. That would be wild. Obviously not going to happen, but would be crazy. We got 2 positions open. Yeah. I want to take a swing at trying to do a mock draft. What website did you use, Ryder? I used the PFN mock draft. That website allows you to make trades without paying for it. They have, in my opinion, a pretty good big board. They got pretty good roster rankings. In my opinion, it's pretty realistic as far as who goes when. So if you want the website, it's just type in PFN mock draft. And it should be the top one here, Pro Football Network, their mock draft. It'll look something like this. You can pick the rounds, you can pick the teams, the drafting speed. And then when you go into the draft, if it loads, then I didn't pick a team. Whoops. That's funny. But once it gets to your pick, it'll have a bunch of different teams looking to trade up with you, or you can offer trades to them and you can negotiate. And I think it's a very solid website for mock drafts. I've said it a million times. I really think John Dorsey was a great pickup. He will help Holmes tremendously at evaluating talent. Yes, I think that's super, super true. I love the John Dorsey hire. Dodds and Dorsey, game over. I think even Dodds and Holmes was not bad. Dodds and Holmes is going to be fine. That might be the best move this offseason. That's going to be definitely the most underrated move of the offseason because both of those guys can – John Dorsey is just a very good drafter, very good talent evaluator. Demetric Felton, nice too. That's true. I like him. I like Demetric Felton. Dude's a very big play threat. I love him. Let's see. Ask the Rams that. Hey, there's a Kit Kat ad. Oh, Kit Kat sound good. Pitts at 7, Etienne at 41 would be would terrify DCs, especially if they ran 2 running back and 2 tight end set. Bro, imagine the scenes if the Lions roll out with a formation with like Kenny Galladay and Tyrell Williams on the boundary. Then you have TJ and you have Kyle Pitts on the inside, and then you have like Travis Etienne and DeAndre Swift in there somewhere. Like that would be obviously that'd be an extra player. That'd be one too many. But I mean, my goodness, that would be just something different. That would be terrifying. I don't know how realistic that would be, but that would definitely that would sell some tickets. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, that's who I'm talking about, Felton, for sure, for sure. Felton's another guy that you could talk about in the later rounds. Felton is more of a wide receiver than a running back. I think he reminds me more of like a Theo Riddick role, where it's like he can definitely be a running back in the NFL, but he's more of a receiving back than anything else. So for sure. Who's the North Carolina wide receiver? If you're talking about Daimi Brown, the wide receiver, he was pretty good. Let's just see. Sports reference. And we got a North Carolina and see their wide receivers. I think you're talking about Daimi Brown, but I'll go check it out. I'll go check out their wide receivers real quick. Let's see. Stokes out of Georgia would be a nice pickup. The only thing I looked at Stokes too, and like he didn't have a turnover, never forced a turnover at Georgia. Unless I'm thinking of a different Georgia cornerback, but he didn't force a turnover, which really, really scares me. Like, I mean, he definitely has the speed. Didn't I think about the other day that he ran like a 4.24 or something? That was wild. What do you guys think about Kenneth Gainwell? I don't know about him enough, to be totally honest. Wow, do we need a nickel now? We do need a nickel now. Des Newsome. We should tag and trade Kenny and then get Corey Davis. I would not be mad at Corey Davis. I like Corey a lot. What are we doing here? North Carolina. I frequent Bears blogs a lot. Man, the fans so desperate for a quarterback is pathetic. I'm sure that's what we sound like all the time we were talking and complaining about Matt Stafford, though. So let's see. North Carolina wide receivers. I'd assume you're talking about Daimi Brown Des Newsome is the other wide receiver who was one Pride 40 was talking about earlier. Both of them are solid. I like both of them. Obviously, Daimi Brown, or I think that's how you say it. I'm going to say Daimi. Couldn't tell you. If we draft him, I'll learn how to pronounce it. Draft Devontae Smith or Jamar Chase. I don't think either of them fall to 7, but personally, I'm not a big not that Devontae Smith is bad, but I don't want him at 7 personally. Do a 2021 mock draft. I have one on my channel already. It came up a couple weeks ago. It involves a trade back. It involves a couple interesting picks on my behalf, and I'll definitely be coming out with more, as things begin to change. And if you guys want to see it, I can do like one weekly, or I can do one every other week, bi-weekly, or however you guys want to see it. So if you guys want more mock drafts, just let me know. I could definitely get them done because there's obviously a lot of different ways we can go with that. But I do have one right now on the channel, and if you guys want, I can definitely make some more. Steve-O from Memphis. Okay. Dunbar, I think Pace is going to offer the house for Watson or Russell Wilson. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. It's Dunbar from Memphis. He's nice. He can catch out of the backfield and stuff. I'll have to look into him. I haven't seen a lot about him personally. I think the kid from North Carolina's name is Brown. Yep. Daimi right here. I actually have us taking him in my mock draft because I think he's a very good player. I think he creates real good separation, and the dude's just a solid wide receiver all around. So, big fan of Brown. Big fan of him. Averaged 20 yards of reception, which is incredible. Very good production. Very, very good production for a wide receiver. Pace is horrible. I mean, I'm not going to comment because I don't know. Dodds and Dorsey would be illegal. I mean, that it'd be broken for sure. I like Gainwell. Draft Trey Lance. I would not draft Trey Lance personally. I don't see that value, but hey. UNC has two nice wide receivers, Brown and Newsome. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that North Carolina was a top program this year. Well, I say top program. They were 8-4. There's a reason they finished 18th in the country. Like, they were pretty solid. They were good, and a lot of their success had to do with their wide receiver play, and obviously Sam Howell being one of the top quarterbacks in the nation. What's going on? How you doing? How you doing today? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the Lions Talk. I think Brad Holmes, with his Eiffel talent in a college ranks, is even more deadly. The guy literally spent 18 years studying college players. That's very true. Very true. I think he's a very good talent evaluator, especially for the college. Nate, that kid is my man crush this year. Some people love my man Trey Lance. Stokes ran a 4.2540. I did see that. That was wild. That was really impressive. When people say draft Lance, I usually ask why nowadays. I just want to know what their take is. That's what I want to know. Honestly, I like, the thing is, I want to see a year of Jared Goff. And I know that if you draft Trey Lance, you don't got to put him in. And I understand that, like, even if we do draft Trey Lance, like, Jared Goff will probably start the season. But, I mean, I don't know. I get the potential of Trey Lance. I get the whole idea that he has the potential to be a top quarterback in the country, has the potential to be a top quarterback at the NFL's highest level, but I don't know. There's something just that I can't get past with Trey Lance, and I can't even tell you what it is on the surface. I just have this feeling that he's not going to work out in the NFL, and I have a feeling that if the Lions draft him, it's going to be a wasted pick. Like, that's just my take on it. But again, there's a lot of people that will disagree and tell you that I'm incorrect, which is totally okay. Like Nate Thompson right here. Love Chez Schwartz, the third. I would not mind Chez as well. I think he's a solid wide receiver. Dodds and Dorsey would be illegal. I might Sheila to get arrested if she pulls that off. That's not going to happen. Dodds is not here for a reason. If Dodds wanted to be here, he'd be our GM already. Pick up Corey Davis. I would not be mad at a Corey Davis pickup. Actually, I'm more excited to see what we can do in the later rounds in the first round. If we can hit on those 3rd to 6th round players, it's over. Very true. My thing with Bob Quinn was, like, he actually hit on the late rounds a lot, but his players in the first couple rounds were always just not very good. Like Tease Table or Jelani Tavai or Will Harris or, who else? I can't even think. Who else did he draft in the first round? He had Rags. He had TJ. He had who else? Oh, Jeff Okuda. Like, the first couple rounds really hurt Bob Quinn, but like, if Brad Holmes can draft solid in the first round, like, I don't need elite players in the first round. If I get solid starting quality players that are going to produce for my team and put my team in a position to win, and then you get late round steal after late round steal, like, if you just have a solid draft all the way down the board from round 1 to round 7, it's going to be over, man. The Lions are going to be good and not that long. Like I said before, I don't want minimal compensation or competition behind Goff. We need someone that'll take his job if he gets too complacent, whether we draft someone or somebody from free agency. And that's why I think the rumor about Tyrod Taylor is very interesting, because, there's been a lot of things coming out that the Lions might be interested in Tyrod. And while Tyrod Taylor is far from a starting quarterback in the NFL, obviously not a top talented, not a top end starting quarterback, he's a veteran, experienced, proven guy that, could come here and I think he could push Jared Goff. I think he'll add competition. I think he'll push Jared Goff. And if Jared Goff gets hurt, or by any means, if Jared Goff doesn't play well and we had to put in Tyrod Taylor, I don't think the level of play would drop off significantly. And Tyrod Taylor has won a lot of games in the NFL. Tyrod Taylor has won a lot of games as an NFL starting quarterback. And I mean, if we needed to put him in for a bit, I wouldn't be upset at that either. So that's why I actually like the rumor, and I hope the rumor is true that the Lions are looking for Tyrod, which makes me also think that they're not looking for a young rookie quarterback yet either, which is another thing to think about. Like our staff been preaching, but pressure on these put pressure on these players. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We need to draft a quarterback. I would disagree with you, but I wouldn't mind getting more competition for golf, but I don't think that competition necessarily has to be at pick 7. Kyle Trask or Kellen Mond in like day 3, or like as I said, Tyrod Taylor would be fine competition. I'm never against taking a QB, but saying we need to is a stretch. That's very, very true. Very, very true. But like I said, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed, but I think to say that we need to draft a quarterback would be an overstatement. It would be a stretch. Once I heard Holmes say he want fast, explosive players, I was all in. Then the coach said we will find what you good at and use that. Music, man. Music to my ears. Fast, explosive players are goated, and using our players' strengths. What a concept. What a concept. Use your players to their strengths and go take advantage of your advantages on the field. What a concept. I can't believe nobody in the Lions organization had thought of that before. Wow. What a discovery. Number the complete opposite of Quinn Trisha. That was what I was getting to. I wonder who's going to fill out those new spots. I don't know, man. I don't know. Hopefully somebody that's at least decent. The people that could have been GMs to help our new GM. Insane what C has built. Yeah, Steve O's so much different. I love the difference, man. I really do. The staff is insane. The front office looks very good so far. My goodness, bro. If we somehow, and I know that one Pride 40 was talking about this earlier, and I guess I didn't catch the fact that, I don't know why I didn't catch this, but I guess I wasn't thinking the whole player of personnel thing. If we do bring in Ed Dodds, which I think is very highly unlikely, it's not going to happen, but if it did happen, that would be broken. A front office with Brad Holmes, John Dorsey, and Ed Dodds would be absolutely broken. That would be a cheat code in real life kind of broken. That'd be wildly different, bro. That'd be crazy. Too short in the draft. I like the linebacker out of NC. Fair enough. We need to draft Trey Lance. Why do we need to draft Trey Lance? I've seen you comment this a couple times now, Nate. Why? Like, I don't disagree with you. I really don't. But why do we need to draft Trey Lance is what I'm asking. Like, why? Like, I get like the whole, if you want to argue we should draft him, but why do we need to draft Trey Lance? Because that wanting to and needing to draft a quarterback are two very different things. So please feel free to comment why you think we need Trey Lance, because I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I also don't think we need it as much as I don't think it's a need. I think it would be an okay pick, but again, not a need for the Lions. Wonder who will fill those two spots. I couldn't tell you, but probably Rams people. I wouldn't underestimate that. Or Saints people. Saints people could be a big shout as well. Or maybe Chargers people if they enjoyed working with Anthony Lynn. There's another look at. Hey, as long as they're not from New England or the Boston area, I'll be all right. It's nice to see the Lions staff actually looking at team building around some common sense. How crazy. What a concept, right? Use common sense. What a concept for the Lions to learn. Lance has all the tools Lance had all of the tools, turned down offers to play other positions and bet on himself. He never lost in college. Holds the college record for most passes thrown before throwing an interception, plus other things. Very true. Trey Lance bet on himself before, and he'll bet on himself again. And I mean, if he becomes a great quarterback, everybody can feel free to come back and tell me I was incorrect. But I would not like him. See, that's not true. It's not that I wouldn't like him. He would not be my first option, is what I guess I should be saying. I like Adam Peters to fill one of those spots. I'll have to look into him. Not very knowledgeable about him, but I'll definitely take a look about what he's done. The thing about the coaching staff is that they're a bunch of guys next up, and they will burst. Oh, they will bust their butt for Dan Quinn. I said Dan Quinn for Dan Campbell for the opportunity he gave them. I think so. I think that's very, very true. While y'all keep preaching Kyle Pitts, did y'all forget we got Dan Campbell on our roster? Bro, imagine Dan Campbell like suiting up. He's like, TJ drops a pass and he's like, TJ, give me your pads. And he puts on the TJ Hawkinson jersey, puts on his helmet, and goes out there and runs just the cleanest route and scores a touchdown. That'd be the funniest thing. Obviously, that couldn't happen, but like if we all of a sudden, like one day we see TJ come to the sideline, or we see like Jesse James or Kyle Pitts come to the sideline or something, and Dan Quinn is just absolute. I keep saying Dan Quinn, and Dan Campbell's absolutely heated. And he's like, "Give me your pads, give me your jersey." Puts it on and goes out of the field and scores a touchdown. I'd die. That'd be so funny. But that's such a thing he would do, though. Like that sounds so unrealistic. That sounds so like unreal, but the funniest part is I could see it happening. I could very realistically see Dan Quinn getting frustrated and be like, sit your butt on the bench, give me your pads. I'm going to go out there and show you how it's done. Like, I would die. That'd be so funny. And then the announcer's just like, oh, and we got Dan Campbell coming on the field. The Lions current head coach is now playing a snap for the Lions team. Like that would be funny. I'd die. And good staff built from within. So just say if Anthony Lynn was to leave after 2 years, you bring up Randall L to be OC. Possibly. We never see a front office or coaching staff like that. No, we have not. That dude live. Trade back for what up? Trade backs number 7. That's what we've been preaching for many, many months now. Why would Ed Dodds come here when Ray Agnew here? Come on, people. I mean, hey, bring in your best talent. Bring in the best people for the job. And like I said, Ed Dodds would be broken for the Lions. It's crazy that we forget about Capers in the adversary role too. Yeah, that is. Don Burr, I said pipe dream. I don't know. I didn't even know that, Funky. I didn't either. I guess I didn't know that either. Adam Peters would be a good choice. Again, I'll look into him. If you want to leave down why, feel free for sure. Obviously, please enlighten me. Please let me know. Facts. And nobody's talking about Aubrey Pleasant as a DB coach. Jalen Ramsey loves the dude, and Washington players loved him too. I think that's a very good coaching hire. I've talked about that a couple of times. I think that was an underrated positional hire as well. Like, I mean, you look at obviously Aaron Glenn being one of the top defensive backs coaches in the country with the New Orleans Saints. Players really liked him. And then you got another very loved, respected DBs coach in Aubrey Pleasant. I mean, if any combination is going to help our DBs get better, it's going to be these two guys. Let's see. Is Pleasant the passing game coordinator and DB coach? He is. He actually is. And I don't know why he's the pass game coordinator, but I mean, they obviously see something. So I would maybe, DB's coach knows how to beat defensive backs. Maybe that's how it is. I don't know if that's how he was with the Rams as well or how that was working, but I did see that he was that as well. Aubrey Pleasant and Aaron Glenn teaching Okudah and Amani. Nice. And Tracy. Don't forget about Tracy Walker. He's up there as well. He's a secondary member. You also got Will Harris. You also have Mike Ford. So, I mean, there's some young defensive backs in this room. There's some young defensive backs. If the Lions draft Pitts, they're definitely tight end you in the NFL. I mean, but like, that's the thing, right? Steve was like, we talk about Kyle Pitts. He's like, oh, he's a tight end. And people would freak out because the Lions would draft another tight end. But he's not a tight end. He's a weapon. He's a receiving threat. He's a receiving weapon. So, I mean, I would not be mad, though. Would definitely not be mad. It's insane. Every person in the new regime are loved everywhere they were and wanted by so many other teams. Yeah, very true. Very, very true. If you were to trade back, who would you get, Ryder? I mean, obviously it depends where we trade back. Like if we trade back to 12, 15 range, then I think Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah was the best shot probably. If we trade back, in the 20s, like 2023 range, I think you could look at Barmore. I think you could look at even maybe Zaven Collins at that area. Or if we trade back closer to like 30, like the 27 to 32 range, then I think you take a look at Gregory Rousseau. You could take a look at Zaven Collins, if he's still there, that you could take a look at. Barmore's potentially still there, although I think he'll be gone by that point. Like it very much depends where we trade back to as to where we're gonna get our guys. Steve-O, tight end you, but not really good thing of all Pettigrew and Ebron. Hey, I will take the L on Pettigrew and Ebron if Hawkinson and Pitts just dominate the league. I think it's interesting that Pleasant is coaching on both sides of the ball. I can't think of any other coach that does that. That's true. That's a very interesting take because, I don't know a lot of coaches that would coach on both sides of the ball. Like generally you stick to an offense or a defensive perspective, but I mean, if he's qualified to do it, then by all means, let him do it. That's all I'm saying. Looney Tune, how far you drop it? That's what I was saying. Like if it depends how far we drop depends on what we are, or is what players I would take. Here's Dr. Detroit. First message of the day from my boy. I like the people running the organization now. I'll trust what they do until it goes off the rails, like what what I'm seeing so far. I am too. Again, like same thing with like any of our draft picks, any of our signings. Like I'll give them the benefit of the doubt until they prove to me they don't deserve it anymore. So until something goes off the rails, I'm gonna be optimistic, and until something bad happens, I'm gonna be optimistic. And he's from the area. Nate Thompson says, let's go 8-8. I wouldn't mind. I think 8-8 is pretty realistic. Nate Q. What's the number one goal of this offseason if you're Motor City Dan Campbell? If I'm the head coach of the Lions, if I'm Dan Campbell, my first priority of the offseason is my number one offseason goal would be to bring in youth and bring in athleticism. Bring in guys that can run fast, jump high, win you jump balls, bring in young talent to this team because this team, like, it's not actually that old of a team. I think the average age was like 26 or something last year, but like they were so slow. They were so reliant on technique and it cost them their athleticism, right? Name the fastest guy on the team before Tyrell Williams ran in like the 4.5s. Like you can't win a lot of football games with players that run in the 4.5s. Like you can't do it. So I'd say my number one goal of the offseason would just bring in young athletes, bring in guys that can break off big runs, bring in players that can just be youth, that can produce for you now and produce for you later. And, prioritize athletes over technique because you can teach technique. You can teach a guy different ways and different hand usages, but you can't teach a guy to run in the 4.3s. You can't teach a guy to have, an insane vertical. You can't teach a guy to jump high, jump far, jump fast. Like that's impossible to teach. What's not impossible to teach is technique. What's not impossible to teach is route running. So I'd say prioritize athletes and young athletes if I'm Dad Campbell. 17 games, bud. That's true. That's true. Oh, well, yeah, 8-8. Obviously, we would be, you'd miss a game there. What happened to Pettigrew? He had some good seasons and then fell off the map. Brandon Pettigrew was weird because, like, he would make the tough catches and then drop the easy ones. And then Ebron dropped everything. Funky, I'll probably drop to the early 20s, maybe late teens. I don't know. So if we're in the late teens, early 20s, I'd say my ideal targets, if JOK is there, I'll take Jeremiah. If Zaven Collins is there, I'd consider that. If Barmore is there, I'd consider Barmore as well. Those are probably my three players on the defense. If you're looking offense, I think Bateman is a little bit of an underrated shout. You got who else would be there on the offensive side of the ball for in the mid-teens? I don't know. Bateman's probably number one for offense in that spot. But if we trade down to the mid-20s or late teens, early 20s, I think Barmore, Collins, or JOK is probably the top options there. Dr. Detroit says we have coaches all around. We just couple years to put them together or put the team together. Yeah, very fair. Pettigrew had hands of stone to me. Like I said, Pettigrew made like some of the most ridiculous catches, but then would drop some of the easiest things I've ever seen. What happened to Reggie Ragland? As of right now, he's still on the team. He hasn't been re-signed yet, but he'll need to be re-signed if they want to bring him back. Dodds, Dorsey, Holmes, Agnew is definitely a pipe dream and illegal. I'll tell you what, the Lions would not be without talent for long with that group in the building. I like Mike Ford, and he can take a huge step this year. Yeah, especially with Pleasant and Glenn. I think Mike Ford could take a big step as well. Pettigrew at 87 receptions in 2011. Yeah, fair enough. Like I said, Pettigrew had some moments. Pettigrew had some good moments, but Pettigrew can't hang on to the ball, Steve-O. Go watch Detroit, Tennessee 2012. Yeah. I wasn't even like a big Detroit fan when I was in 2012, and I know that Pettigrew was not all that. One pride, I think all those in one office, too many egos. Maybe sometime you can overdo it. To me, it would be overkill, but just saying, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's not going to happen. So it's not like we got to, it's not like we have to really worry about it because it's not going to happen. But, it'd definitely be an interesting front office. If we fall back to 30-ish, Nick Bolton, but we better get a first next year and a second this year and more. Very, very true. Yeah, I mean, if we trade back to the 30s, you better believe we better be getting at least another first. Yeah, pipe round for Dream. That dude, long time, bro. What's up? If we fall back that far, we better get a ransom. We better get more than a ransom. Pettigrew was picked in the 20s, and the dude could block and was never considered a wide receiving threat coming out of college. Fair enough. Don't forget, we also had Marvin Hall too. He has speed. He had speed. Oh, that's true. I guess Marvin Hall. Yeah, I was thinking end of the season roster, but yeah, Marvin Hall had some speed. He was our big D threat, and then got cut because Bob Quinn's an idiot. Dr. Detroit was good, my guy. Man, if all else fails, make Amani a wide receiver. I mean, probably not. If we fall back to 19 Washington or 20 Chicago, I would love to just take the Bears draft class capital. I mean, fair enough. I don't think the Bears are going to be at 26. I think they're going to trade for a quarterback. I have a feeling the Bears are going to throw the house. They're going to give almost their entire draft class for Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson. I'm talking like 3 firsts, like the rest of this draft class. Like, I think they're going to give an absolute haul for one of the 2 quarterbacks, which is going to suck, but at the same time, it's going to hurt them in the long run. So I wouldn't be super upset. Unlike Moby trash talking Holmes, I'm like I said, I'm not going to trash talk anybody until they give me a reason to. JK Barmore in the late teams if available. Absolutely. There we're talking. I would take Barmore if I was to drop, probably. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking probably that. Moby usually trashes everything and everybody, hollering and screaming. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, been a minute, Dr. Detroit was. Let's see. Yep, but praised Patricia. Hey, I gave Patricia a chance until he showed me that he didn't deserve one anymore. The worst thing about Pettigrew was he let like 3 people literally take the ball out of his hands. Embarrassing. Yep. Ragland's probably gone. Probably true. I remember him getting balls literally snatched out of his hands by a 5'9" dude. We need to build the trenches. That's true. I think our offensive line's actually pretty solid. As I said, Decker, good player. Ragnow, good player. Jackson, good player. We could bring in like Brandon Scherf, very good guard. Tyrell Crosby's fine on the outside if you want to keep him there, or Big V if you want to rotate that. Whoever's got the hot hand, whoever's playing better at the time can get that position. That's your front 5 on the offense figured out. And then, the defense, if you bring back Romeo and Trey Flowers, that's a pretty solid pass rushing duo. Maybe you want to get one more rotational guy, or, see if Julian and see if Julian and Austin Bryant can stay healthy finally, and maybe Deshaun Hand to get a pass rush in there as well. But yeah, I mean, I think building the trenches, but I think more so on the defensive side of the ball, building the trenches would be probably the best option. Marvin Hall got cut after Quinn and Patricia were gone, and we all thought Bevel was gonna do better shaking him. Bevel did do better though. But like the team under Bevel was better than the team under Matt Patricia. But was it cutting Hall after Quintricia got canned? Yes, I believe. I don't remember. It was super close. I believe so, though. How do you see us improving the cap situation? Desmond Trufant's going to help with that. I wouldn't be surprised. Like we had it's gone now, but we had the over the cap up earlier. Nick Williams can be cut and save a lot of cap. Justin Coleman could be cut and could save a lot of cap there. You have who else? I mean, there's a lot of players. Christian Jones could be cut and save a lot of cap. So, it's there's definitely a bunch of players that could get released. Let's see. What if they trade with us and take Mac Jones? Who would be they? Who would be they? Honestly, don't know who they is, but honestly, if anybody takes Mac Jones, that's on them. Writer afternoon, sir. Do you believe Lions ownership understands how to be the best mediocrity? How to be the best. Mediocrity has been the stamp of acceptance thus far. I mean, I think Sheila's definitely working her butt off. I think Sheila's definitely taking the right steps to get us back where we want to be. And I don't think Sheila's gonna accept mediocrity anymore. I really don't. That doesn't seem like her personality type. That doesn't seem like the person she is. She doesn't seem like a person in life, in sport, in career. Seems like a person that's gonna settle for mediocrity. So I think with the new ownership, I think it's gonna change. I do. I think that I think Sheila's mentality, the way she's been working, and some of the things she's been doing in the organization, just going above and beyond, I think it's going to, I don't want to say reminisce because that's not the word, but it's going to resonate. That's the word. It's going to resonate throughout the entire front office. It's going to resonate through the whole entire team and make everybody better. The Mac deal hurting them already? Absolutely. This week is going to be interesting. I just don't want us to sign guys to big contracts if they are over 25, period. Fair enough. I can respect that. For sure. Unless it's an offensive lineman. If it's an offensive lineman, I think it's a little different because offensive linemen tend to play more into their 30s without regressing as fast, more because their stuff is technique based and not speed based. But outside of the offensive line, I would very much agree with you. Trade for Wilson. Let's take some draft capital on top of that. Trade for Wilson. Are you talking about Zach or Russell? I'd assume Russell. I agree, Dumber. Like I said, I agree with Dumber apart from the offensive line. If there's an offensive lineman out there like Brandon Scherf, who's like, I think he's 30, but like offensive linemen play a lot longer than many others, so I would not be mad at that for sure. Is it Kool-Aid to see our front office operating like an NFL caliber front office? I mean, I don't know, man. We'll have to see. Russell Wilson and the Bears. Yep. Wilson and the Bears will set the organization back at least 5 or 6 years. Yeah, it might get them a win immediately. Like year one under Wilson might help them a lot. But, I mean, if you look at them, like the Khalil Mack trade helped them out year one, but now they're really, really paying for it. And, one, I think Russell Wilson is not going to look the same in the Bears organization. Like, the Bears do not have the offensive coordinator that the Seahawks have, right? They don't have the same offensive coordinator. They don't have the ability. They don't have the same offensive play calling that they had in Seattle. Chicago's offensive coordinator is significantly worse than I think it's Brian Schottenheimer, who's in Seattle calling the plays. Like, and that's the thing with like the whole Mahomes thing too. Like everyone's like, oh, the Bears drafted Trubisky over Mahomes. If Mahomes was drafted to the Bears, he'd look just like Trubisky. Maybe a little better, maybe not quite like Trubisky, but he'd look relatively the same because a lot of players' success comes down to the plays that they're being given and the plays that are being set up for them to succeed. So that's all I'm saying. Talking about the Bears, yeah. Who would you take from free agency to help shore up the defensive line? I mean, realistically, I'll take Jarrell Casey. Jarrell Casey, I think, would be really, really good for sure. For sure, I think if we could get him, I think that'd be a very good pickup. Sheldon Rankins, I believe, from the Saints, has connections with Dan Campbell, has connections with Aaron Glenn. I think he'd be very solid. Justin Houston could be an interesting pass rusher for the Detroit Lions, a veteran guy to come in. So, there's always those for sure. I don't think paying a 27-year-old wide receiver top 5 money is a smart move, but letting him walk for nothing is pretty dumb as well. Rock and a hard place. What a decision. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting, but I think there's pros and cons to obviously there's pros and cons to everything, right? Leonard Williams would be stupid expensive. And I would not want him personally, but I don't necessarily think he'd be bad. I just don't think he'd be my top choice. If Hicks gets cut, if Hicks gets cut, him other than that, no one. I don't think Hicks is going to be here. I don't think he wants to come here. She'd have been very active. You wouldn't even hear from Martha. You probably not. Williams is going to cost too much. I agree. There's going to be a lot of players getting cut this week, so we don't know everybody that's going to be available. That's true. We don't know. Right now, I'm really just basing it off of who is a free agent this year. Like what the free agent class looks like right now, obviously before re-signings, before cuts. So that's what I'm basing it off of, but that's all I got right now. Obviously, that's all I can go off of right now. I've been really watching Jamin Davis lately. I'm really liking him. I think he needs about 10 more linebackers. I think he needs about 10. Oh, I said linebackers, 10 more pounds. But I like the kid. Very, very true. When you capitalize LB, that made me think linebacker because he is a linebacker. And I was like, he needs 10 more linebackers. That doesn't make sense. But he meant pounds, of course. Don, I'm pretty big on him too. I like him a lot. I've watched him a bit reading the last couple of weeks. I like him a lot. I think he would be a very good linebacker. He's a dog for sure. Don Burry's really nice at stopping the run too. He's a very complete linebacker. So I definitely would not be opposed to getting him at all. I would be very, very happy. I'd be very happy with him. Maybe the 3rd round. I'd say 3rd round. I'd be ecstatic. 2nd round, I might question it a little bit, but I'd say even as early as the 3rd round, I'd take him. But that's just me. Obviously, that's kind of my thing. And obviously, I haven't seen everything about him, but I like him quite a bit. I think he's a pretty darn solid linebacker. And I think he'd help this team out a ton. But, that's just that is just how it is. Now, the comments are beginning to slow down. I don't see anything else coming out. Oh, Missouri. Missouri had a nice safety. I forgot his name, but he can come down in the box. Oh, what's his name? I know who you're talking about. It's Tyrell Gillespie. That's the one. Tyrell Gillespie. Yep. Very good player. I would love Tyrell. I think he's good at everything. I'd be a big fan of Tyrell as well. Man, think we will laugh a lot this week. Every player gets let go. Lions fans are going to say, get him whether he's 37. That's true. That's true. And I'm sure there will be a lot of content coming out because I'm sure there's going to be quite a bit of news from the NFL and the Detroit Lions specifically. So, I'm expecting it. But with that being the case, with the comments slowing down and with it being just about to hit the 2-hour mark, just about to tick over to 3 p.m. I think that's where we're going to call it today. Very fantastic live stream. A lot of fun talk, a lot of fun speculation about the Detroit Lions. And just like every Lions talk, I had a phenomenal time, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. I'll be back a little bit later. I have a video set to come out. All I got to do is upload it to YouTube, so that should be out within the hour. Should be out by 3:30-ish. So make sure you come back and make sure you come back and check it out. It's going to be some of the Lions rumors that are coming out. I got it already. I got it all prepared. I just got to upload it. So that'll be out within the hour. But with all that, that's all I got for you guys right now. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for watching. And I'll see you all in a bit with another Lions video. Thank you all for coming out and watching. See you guys later.